Hello, and welcome to Intellectual Swag. Intellectual Swag is a learning community designed to frame intellect as a positive personal attribute present in all individuals, rather than as a commodity available only to a select few. By making intellect a culturally accessible social construct, we not only empower students to feel increased confidence in academic and professional situations, but we also demarginalize those students who suffer from the unfair social stigma levied against intellectualism in our culture. The initial version of Intellectual Swag advances 3 understanding goals. First, the student will be able to define intellect in a careful, thoughtful, and personally relevant way. Transfer of the first understanding goal results in the second. The student will understand that despite cultural stereotypes, intellect can be socially desirable. Furthermore, through experience with the learning environment, the learner will understand the third goal, that the advancement of intellect benefits human beings on a community-based level. A new visitor clicks through the welcome page and clicks on "I'm new here" if they're a new user. The next page is the welcome page. Within it is contained the first information delivery. The first information delivery frames the questions which drive the project-based learning approach. The language is designed to be accessible. The more complex concepts at play at Intellectual Swag are broken down and explained in a way that is enticing and interesting to young viewers. At this stage, the user is encouraged to join the learning community. It is important to note that this action is completely voluntary. No user at Intellectual Swag is there not of his or her own accord. While encouraging voluntary participation is certainly a learning challenge, increasing feelings of engagement and motivation is key. That being the case, the next few steps in the process are designed to increase a user's feeling of control and autonomy as encouraged by the principles of universal design for learning to increase motivation and engagement. A visitor who elects to become a new member is then taken to the new member registration page. Here, members can customize their learning experience. They can create usernames, bios, upload avatars, or customize their identity with non-textual information. After choosing identifiers, users then elect Swag Preferences. These preferences customize the learning environment for the user. Offering these preferences serves a variety of purposes. First, the learner's feeling of autonomy and control over the learning environment is increased, and thus threat response is decreased. Secondly, in electing these preferences, the user is engaging in her first metacognitive exercise. In customizing these options, the learner is making important considerations about her best mode of learning. The choices made by the user build a profile page which can change and evolve over time. We'll revisit this later when talking about assessment. Next, the user is taken to a user agreement page. The user views a message regarding the conduct expected of all community members. The message is framed with language that emphasizes the qualities that each individual community member brings to the learning experience of the group. Each community member, recognizing the inherent value in the perspectives of his or her fellow community members, agrees to certain standards of conduct. The establishment and maintenance of these rules of conduct addresses an important learning challenge. In order to ensure good learning, it is of paramount importance that Intellectual Swag offer a safe space for users. Note that once again, a choice is given as to whether or not the user wishes to agree to these standards of conduct. If the user does not wish to agree, they can click No Thanks, and their membership information will be deleted from the system. A user still interested in membership in the community is then prompted to answer a question. The answer to this question will drive the user's progress throughout the user experience. The user is asked, "What does intellectual swag mean to you?" User can choose to answer this question with text, audio, video, or file upload. The response that the user offers will serve as a baseline for the metacognitive self-assessment to be engaged in later in the membership process. Next, the user is first introduced to their customized content main page. In this case, the page display has been customized such that the content displayed is only video files. This is based on swag preference selections made earlier in the membership building process. Each piece of content on the main page of Intellectual Swag is designed to function as a provocation. If any individual piece of content is particularly engaging to a user, they can click on it. Clicking on a particular piece of content directs the user to a page devoted to that content. Here, the user first serves as audience. After a user views the content, she can choose to swag up or swag down. Choosing to swag up contributes swag points to the uploading user. In this way, users contribute feedback to one another. Swag points earned by a user are recorded on that user's profile. After a user swags up or swags down, they are encouraged to express why they made the choice they made with regard to the particular piece of content. Making this consideration is a metacognitive exercise. As you can see, contributions can be made via text, audio, and video. Once a user records an expression, that expression is subsequently logged and included in a message board devoted to the particular piece of content at which the response was directed. As the message boards build, users collaborate, debate, discuss, and otherwise interact, all building towards a collective project goal of understanding intellect's manifestation in culture. It is necessary to scaffold the cognitive task of recognizing salient details in content images and subsequently pulling out meaningful observations about those images. At Intellectual Swag, that scaffold is the analogy exercise. In the analogy exercise, the user is asked to compare two separate pieces of content. The user chooses swag up or swag down, and then describes the ways in which she felt the two pieces were alike and the ways in which she felt they were different. Responses are recorded, and the user can then compare her response to the response of others. Early in the user experience, pieces chosen for this exercise will either be very similar or very different, allowing the user to easily pick out salient details. As the user's experience level increases, the images used in this exercise will become more and more complex. As the user becomes more comfortable picking out salient details and making thoughtful analyses of those details, the exercise pops up less and less often via an automated script. In this way, the scaffold eventually fades. This is the Swag community. The community page serves as a hub for interaction between users separate from content environments. The community page serves as a very important resource for Intellectual Swag users. Here, struggling learners can get help with executive function needs such as coping skills. Further, and perhaps most importantly, the Swag community page hosts a space that learners can use as a resource for discussing transfer of skills learned in the community to real-world situations in school or work. Finally, we come to the assessment component of intellectual swag. At regular intervals, the user is asked to re-answer the question initially posed when they first became a member. This evolving set of responses is recorded and maintained on the user's profile page. Here we see admin's current biographical information, his age, his city, his amount of swag points, his current swag definition, and an access button for his swag history. In swag history, users are encouraged to review the changes and evolutions in their perceptions of intellectual swag. Patterns, big ideas, relationships, and large changes inevitably pop up. An observant user will almost certainly note a broadening of his or her own unique perspectives. Furthermore, based on her interaction in the community, a careful user will note an evolving, more inclusive attitude indicative of conceptual change. Through metacognition, the user will note that she is achieving the understanding goals laid out in the introduction. Increased feelings of self-efficacy will lead to more likely transfer of skills learned in the community to real-world situations. In addition, swag points reflect success based on peer evaluation at intellectual swag. I hope you've enjoyed your introduction to intellectual swag and online learning community. Applied principles of neurocognition to the design of this learning environment truly give it the potential to be a groundbreaking educational experience.